This is iRacing.
Whereas last time out, when we were racing over at a wonderful Homestead Miami Speedway, it was all about finding the right time to strike. When it comes to Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, when it comes to the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, it is about when, it is about how, and it is about managing traffic that, quite frankly, makes this circuit one of the most underrated sleeper circuits on the calendar. As we hit halfway in the championship season, the question we'll ask, can perfection continue? Or will it be a case of other drivers now starting to stake their claims for championship points here in your IMSA Vintage Series 2025 Season 3? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Along with me for the ride today is Craig King, with Christian Deploy in the director's chair, being assisted by Daniel Costello. Cameras provided by Dougie Beard as per usual. But to a Mosport which in more recent years has been less and less run on the iRacing service. So if you are brand new and you haven't come across this circuit just yet, here's a little GSRC track guide to get you up to speed.
Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti Straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide.
For a circuit that looks so simple on paper, there is a lot of technicality that comes around on this track here, Craig. And when I'm looking around at Clayton Corner, turn number 2 out there on this track, it is the toughest corner, I think, in all of Canada, followed very swiftly by Moss Corner as the second hardest.
Moss Corner is a very tough corner, and we've seen in practice this week a lot of issues down at Clayton Corner, but this is one of the staples of IMSA Vintage. They love this track. This has never been changed since it was made in 1961, sans the pit lane. Everything about this track is how it was when it first came in, and it's why drivers love it. It's quick, it's fast. That's if you've got downforce, which the GTOs don't have, and that's where the multi-class will come into it today, Jake, because while you do have those speeds, as I mentioned, Clayton Corner, a lot of issues of drivers are getting caught out here. The speed differences between the two classes will catch up to you pretty quickly. We look at Clayton and Moss. I want to say the biggest issue here today will also be turn 9 in the middle of the S's.
Yes, because you've got a lot of drivers who want to try and carry the speed through turn 8, and that sudden change of direction at turn 9 often makes life very difficult. Now, 2 championships here. It's multi-class with IMSA Vintage. It's GTPs and GTOs. The GTPs are with your Nissan GTP ZX-T. Jacob Reed, 100 championship points, is proving to be a very tricky customer to beat. Shadi Ahmad is 18 points back with Ilka Cotasalo at 28. You've then got Brendan Lim and Nicholas Mukanos, who second place leapfrogs him up to 5th position ahead of Krzysztof Olenizak with Jack Wells and Fabian Youngbluth in 7th and 8th positions. Gabri Martinez will be in 9th, just 2 points adrift of Youngbluth, with Brandon White still holding that 10th place, 2 points back of Gabri. GTOs, still a very interesting prospect after a victory last time out from your championship leader, Craig.
3 wins from 5 races, but we're round 6 as he missed a round as Jan van Hicks takes the championship away from today's birthday boy, Mickey Friesen. And that just goes to show Mickey's been here all 5 weeks. Van Hicks, 4 races, 2 wins, 2 podiums. It just goes to show. Same with Noah Lumberg, 2 podiums and a victory from just 4 of the 5 rounds he's been there. And then it's basically the story of you've either done 4 races or you've done 5 races. And that's why you see Cloud and Schuster down in 5th and 6th, with Philip Lake just ahead with the 4 races. Andreas Schuster as well just there. Henry Morse with the surprise, and JD Rodriguez, 2 races, a win and a podium, still there in 8th, while the likes of Josh Braden and Ruben Bello both tied on 9th, just trying to find their way through the series.
And if you can manage your way through these races, you'll be able to pick up points with finishes time and time again. Now, at the halfway stage of this season, it's another 40-minute race that they've got to try and navigate through. Open setups mean that those Nissan GTP ZX-Ts and those Audi 90 GTOs will get themselves an opportunity to be driven in their best light. There is no spare car to save you if you get involved in an incident, and that's critical for racing like this. And of course, there is a drive-through penalty at 17 instant points. At 25, you are staring down the barrel of disqualification. So there is always that in the back of the mind to try and make sure that it stays just as clean as possible. So keep an eye out on various drivers who are hoping that their times are going to work and that their positioning over the course of 8 minutes of qualifying looks to be solid. But we are already through nearly 5 minutes of that qualifying session, and it is some familiar faces up near the front of the field. You have got the likes of Jacob Reed leading GTP, but critically, Joni Hagner out there racing is on top of GTO with a 117.1.
Rolling back the seasons is Joni Hagner and Noah Lumberg there, Michael Polasek, followed by Philip Lake. It is a who's who of the new and old. Everyone loves Mosport, and who doesn't love Mosport? As we're watching Jamie Hamill-Smith on his second lap coming down the Mario Andretti Speedway. He's done 6 and 7. Here comes 8. Here comes the S's. It's tough for these cars because they have to hold the inside of 8 as tough as they can into 9, but you have to make sure that you don't have a lot of understeer. And here they go. Modern day, there is a lot of runoff here on the exit. You don't get that liberty. You don't get that luxury around here on this version. Jamie Hamill-Smith will come across the line. It's quicker. No, it isn't actually. It's a tenth slower.
So tough there to not find that second time on the board. And one of the reasons might be because it's a 40-degree track temperature out there. It really does show how tough it is. Pepe Fuentes has pulled the car up to 4th position, and will it be even more than that? Just 0.2 of a second needed to find pole position, or 2.5, let's say, at this point, through 8 into White's at turn number 9, now tackling turn 10 and looking to get that drive over towards the line. It is going to be a 103.986. It was enough to improve on time, but not enough to dethrone Seamus Power out of 3rd position. There is Henry Morse, who is off the back here, Craig, of taking victory at Phoenix earlier on today in our Lotus 49 coverage.
Yeah, he's gone from the open wheels into the old cockpit. He'll come across the line. It isn't faster, and it just goes to show how tight these gaps are. You see on the timing towers, that's the gap between each car. And just look how close it is when it comes to those GTOs. A 10th separates basically everyone down to 10th in position. All 2,000 between Cloud and Van Hicks, as we're watching Adria Huguet coming around the number 25 car, looking to try and see if they can get a little bit better, but unfortunately, they run out of time.
They do, and that means everybody is done in qualifying. Of 50 drivers who could have set a qualifying time, 48 have elected to do so, and the field is going to stack up then as follows, starting with GTP category, where Jacob Reed once again puts himself on the pole position, a 1:03.804, and will be clear by 1/10 of a second over Nicholas Mucanos, who is alongside him on that front row. In third position, it will be Seamus Power with Pepe Fuentes going from fourth. Laust Olsen and Shadi Ahmad are fifth and sixth. It is then Ferran Grau who starts in seventh, with Christophe Lenejak in eighth position. Forbes Marshall will go in ninth, with Stefan Leslie rounding out your top 10 in the field. Over the page then to 11th, where Brandon White finds himself alongside Javier Mosquera, as Eric Mahoney and Logan Fitz will be on row number 7. Jiri Vikström is going to be going from 15th, with Andres Felipe Diaz in 16th. Rian van Vuren is 17th, with Brian Carter 18th. It's then Diego Alberto Maidana and Matthew Oddle who makes up the top 20 in category. Just the 4 cars remain, 2 that did set a time, Nelson Grajnov and Henk-Jan Ober. Then you've got Carlos Fonseca and Lance Simon, the American, then making up the field in GTP. 26 GTOs for you, Craig, and what a stacked field it is.
And it's 26 GTOs that have all set a qualifying time, as Joni Hagner will get a pole position here ahead of Noah Lundberg, and look how close it is. Followed by Michael Polasek, and then Philip Lake in fourth. Doug Cloud continues on. He's got the Zamboni in Ontario today. He's in fifth, with Jon Van Hicks in sixth. And then it's birthday boy Mickey Friesen in seventh, with Shane Hawkins in eighth. Henry Morse with a P9, and Roman Bello just rounding out that first page in 10th. As we get to the second page, it will be Josh Brain. The number 15 car will be 11th. Beside him will be Cal Young. And then it's Ian Haycox in the unlucky 13, with Ben Laughter in 14th. Forban Pollock will start 15th, and Cam Porter hopes not to have an issue with turn 2 today. He'll be in 16th. Henry Viomaki will take 17th. And then Mate Lorinsky will be 18th. Jamie Hamill-Smith will take 19th, and Tim Gaudry will be 20th for the second of the 3 pages. And we get to the final 6 as a Yoni Berg will be in 21st, with a Paul Clavier in 22nd. Anthony De Veres will be 23rd, with Peter Nielsen in 24th. Adria Huget, we just saw, will finish in 25th. And Kike Mengel, the last of the time qualifiers, the last of all the qualifiers, 26th today. And he's 41, Jake. It's 41 Celsius, 106 Fahrenheit. And check out that wind.
Yeah, it's blustering about then from the west out here today, and that is critical to know that it is going to be throwing a tailwind in through the S's, turns 8 and 9, which means turn 9 will be even more difficult out there. A headwind down through turn 4 over towards that cross headwind, turn cross tailwind over at turn number 5, Moss Corner. So these are challenging conditions that they'll have to deal with, and especially with wind, because it buffers you about a little bit. It changes where your braking marker is going to be, and often drivers don't quite understand what the wind conditions do to affect the car, especially in very extreme weather conditions out there. But as they take their pace lap, they are now looking to try and generate any heat into the tyres that they want to, give themselves as much of an opportunity to start racing as aggressively as they can. And I think the big key difference maker is going to be who can survive around a circuit where there are various sections, like turn 2, for example, at Clayton's Corner, and up here at Moss Corner, where it is simply here, Craig, one line suits all, and 2 categories of car have to try and work out what's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, if you're used to the Camel GT or the IMSA Vintage, you know that everyone keeps talking about GTOs will hold their line. They only can take one line, because the moment they pick it, that's it. And that goes for any corner here. So you may see some GTPs try to do some late moves around the outside of Clayton. Maybe try to dive it in as late as they can into the inside of Clayton. But other corners, they're going to struggle with that. You go down to that turn 4 before Moss Corner. Because of how blind it is, it's going to be tough. This is the best opportunity, and this is where predictability is crucial. Because even drivers, as they come down to turn 8 at the start of the S's, they will want to look for a move. And when it gets to that first run of traffic, it's going to be vital. After 40 minutes, you're going to see no free part of the track here. We've got 50 drivers here. It's almost a full split. It is bound to be very chaotic on the road today.
And that chaos starts in just a couple of moments' time because the iRacing Porsche First Safety Car dives down into the pits through White's corner, turn 10. And that leaves Jacob Reed in control. A quick green flag. And we are underway for racing action in the Camel GT Series. Immediately, Seamus Power looks to get aggressive against Nicholas Mukanos. No chance for that to happen. A bit of side-by-side with Lars Stolsen and Christopher Lanejak down through Clayton's corner. Everybody figures out single file's the best way to go. Here comes GTO.
GTO took the green flag right before the chicane. The S's really good there from Joni Hagner to control them, and Michael Polasek with a really good start to get past Noel Lundberg. Real good start. Tim Gaudry in the background making up 3 places already, but that mistake there from Lundberg allowed Polasek to get ahead, and Hagner has got a really good gap now.
Oh, we got troubles at turn 5. Brandon White is in the barriers. He's come together with Logan Fitz under braking, who's apologised over radio, and immediately dramas have started to befall drivers. Here comes Ferran Grau looking for that pass, and Grau here from Andorra round the outside of Lars Stolsen through 8, inside for turn 9. Beautiful pass.
Beautiful pass, and for a moment, Laus tried to fight that, and he had the room there. Grau gave him the room. The moment he went to hit that at turn 9, he was understeering out of 8. He had to back off, otherwise he would have washed out the corner into the side of Grau. Some real respectful driving there from the GTPs, and you'll see a lot of respectful driving from the GTOs today. The Andretti straightaway is important for this race. You're going to see the top 7, at least 7, are going to be in a train here until probably about 10 minutes when the traffic curve first comes on by.
And when we say top 7, it's Mickey Friesen, who's second in the championship. Birthday boy wants a way through on the championship leader, Joram van Hicks, and not finding any luck to go and manage it right now, thinking about turn 2. But we'll take a look here at Brandon White. Down the hill at turn 4, it's an uphill late braking zone for Moss Corner, and that is just a missed point by Fitz. Brandon White is taken out by the rear right tyre, and he said that was expected, not what I wanted. Speaking of not expected here, slow on the exit, Noel Lundberg right now not having the best of drives out of Clayton Corner. Looked like a missed shift or something through the middle, which has caused him to drop all that time.
Yeah, definitely was a misshift there, and he's having to battle Doug Cloud. We're on board with Mickey Friesen. Mickey, where's the party hats? I don't know where that is. Lesniak has had big issues here. I don't really see any more rear on the back of that car for the Polish driver. We'll get a replay of what happened there, but here is Friesen. That little check up there from Lundberg may have just spread out this group a little bit, because the top 2 are now on their own. You can see them. That's Friesen, Cloud, Van Hicks, Lundberg and Lake, not in that order, all trying to now catch back up to the lead 2.
Half tempted to call him Bane, the way that microphone just continues to stay over his mouth as he goes through. He's very much a case of a driver who wants one way of looking forward, and he knows that he wants that communication level to be right up there at the pointy end. As your top 2, Hagner and Polasek here, who are both aura farming here today, are going to be pulling away. Front 3 in GTO are practically away at the moment. Pepe Fuentes is in a wait for me situation out there on track right now, and this is what happened. So this is with Ferran Grau. 8 into 9. Oh, so they fought for the same piece of real estate. I'm not sure where Ferran's supposed to go, but for Alenijak, that there is just an indication of I'm pushing too hard to hold the place.
Yeah, I think he thought he had the ability to turn in there, but that corner doesn't turn as sharp as you expect it to, and I think it caught him out there. You can go side by side. You can do that, but unfortunately, not a lot they could do in that moment, and they just had to accept it. We're on board with Henry Morse, looking to see what he can do in the background. You see everyone is starting to bunny about. A lot of 2x2s going on right now. Van Hicks just giving himself space, and they're not going side by side to make an overtake apart from Lundberg on Philip Lake. They're going side by side to prevent any issues breaking for the S's.
And they're about to get lap traffic here because Nicholas Mukanos, very much the same as what happened over at the original race 1 week ago at Homestead, is following in the shadow of the Worcesterman Jacob Reed. So trying to follow and do well. Seamus Power is now going to find out just how difficult this is, sweeping around the outside. A big difference maker there. No driver at all for Mukanos, and suddenly, thanks to Joni Berg and Anthony De Veres, it's going to be a case now of these drivers working their way through the traffic. Jacob Reed's got a gap.
Jacob Reed did fantastic there because he realized he could go around the outside before they started turning, but because he took the outside line away, those GTOs were compromised. It compromised Mechanos, and now he's got Seamus Power right behind it. As you can see, drivers will want to try and make some moves here. Mechanos just getting past Fulton Pollock. Door is left open, not very much for Seamus, and that's the problem with Moss. You have to go very wide to start turning in for the final part. It's 5A, 5B, and 5C. You go wide through 5A to set yourself up for 5B to get on the throttle at 5C. That didn't work for Seamus. That didn't work for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, and now it's about pushing around the outside of these corners, making sure you find right place, right time. Dancing through the traffic with Mucanos. We go on board as he moves down the inside of Shane Hawkins. Now trying to get by Henry Morse. Mickey Friesen. He sees down the road through the opening corner that Jacob Reed has just diced his way through the duo of Philip Lake and Noel Lundberg. Absolute respect there, having to be held. And look at the hold-up in through Clayton Corner. Mucanos nowhere to go by Philip Lake, and it shows you the swings and roundabouts. Right place, right time, you're there. Wrong place, wrong time, you're square.
I always used to talk about Alex Zott had the textbook standard on how to do multi-class etiquette. Well, you just look at Jacob Reed. Fantastic driving from him to get by. And here's another driver who has some really good etiquette here. Shadi Ahmad got overtaken from Fair and Growl due to the traffic at the start of the lap. And now he is hunting down Pepe Fuentes for that P4. He can see him, and they're basically through the traffic in 2 laps, even a lap and a half. On board live, you can see as they come down to the S's, they're going to see clear air the moment they get past Johnny Hagner. Back to how you were, boys. You're back racing on your own.
It took him just 6 laps to get through all the lap traffic. Yoni Hagner and Michael Polasek then together, the number 1 and 3 drivers in this field. Polasek gains the majority of his strength in GT circles. He's a driver who can be on the fringes of a top split of any major race out there. Yoni Hagner in current form is a Division 2, a Split 2, Split 3 driver when you put him in GT spec, whereas in the past, Glacier Racing was a staple of the endurance scene.
Oh, he is still a staple. We're on board with Johan van Hicks, who isn't from Australia, but you never know. He might decide he wants to go down there. Not sure why. They'll be too busy talking about the rugby after today. He's battling on. He's going to be looking to make sure he doesn't cause a ruck. That had a lot of controversy today. Trying to battle Doug Cloud. And like I said, Doug Cloud is the Zamboni driver. We're in Ontario, but I don't feel the Maple Leafs are out here today, Jake.
No, I don't think they are right now, and the Toronto Maple Leafs that they are will be waiting for their season to kick on into full gear when that comes back around. But for the moment, Joran van Hicks looking behind at Mickey Friesen right now. It'll be a couple points lost to the likes of Noel Lundberg, for example. And when you're talking GTO and championship, remember, Lundberg walks into today 5 points back of Mickey Friesen, and if he's got a good result like this, picks up a few more points. We're talking 18 championship points here for that, 20 championship points for that 3rd place. Joran van Hicks is going to be dropping quite a good amount of points here and will bring Noel Lundberg back into championship contention with Mickey Friesen there. So there is still a lot of alertness that needs to be had, as Lundberg right now has done a very, very stellar job of staying with the front 2. He's fought his way back on with a little bit of no man's land for Philip Lake in 4th place.
Yeah, really good work from Lundberg and Lake. They both did 17.2s last time by, 18 flat for the 2 leaders in the GTO. So using the traffic to their advantage, basically getting a better run through the traffic, as in not having to compromise their entry into corners. And that's just brought these 3 cars together. Lake is trying to catch back up, but every time he tries to catch back up, he has to just dive and wait a little bit, because here comes Wickström, here comes Rian Van Buren, all trying to make their way through. And here's the problem. You tried to get yourself a line to do some slipstreaming. The GTPs will want to go on by. They're going to have to go through and try and slice a piece of bread with some sandwich.
Yeah, they don't want to be doing that, because they know that the moment that it goes wrong, you don't end up with a sandwich, you end up with effectively avocado smash. And at that point, you know, you paid for your sandwich and you end up with not what you wanted. So it's tough out there for them to deal with, as we are currently at the 1/4 distance in the next half a minute or so. Jacob Reed, 2.5 seconds to the good at the front, and a lot of splitting up in the early stages for GTP. It's all about a car here, a car there. What we expect from the nature of this track as another car works its way around the leading group of Hagner and Polasek. That was Brian Carter.
Yeah, Brian Carter, as we looking at what happened to Forbes Marshall, trying to come in. That's an overtake that's on there, but hitting the curves upset the car there. And for Forbes, unfortunately, I think he may need to check his stock prices after that, because that was not what you want to see from a driver. Too much curb, setting him off a little bit there. But what's interesting, they're about to get P13 and P14, these lead GTOs. There's only 18 GTPs still driving out there from the 24 we started. Some of them are in the pits getting repaired. A couple have already retired.
Yeah, and it tells you how tough the start of this race has been for GTPs, because 5 of them are out, so they're just one GTO of Paul Clavier, who's actually still running, giving him some credit right now. A couple of laps down. Oh, big trouble. Huge accident. No, Lundberg caught out, and now the field's jam. Mickey Friesen takes a tap.
Big moment there. Maloney tried to hold up. Thought he could make it 3 wide to the exit. Had to check up. Got onto the grass. He was on grass. He was a missile. I see Grau towed from another incident. Fonseca's in the pit. Maloney's had to take a turn. Mariano's taken a tow. Doug Cloud, Noah Lundberg, Cal Young, all in. That's one of the biggest crashes this season in the GTOs and the GTPs.
It is a huge moment in the context of this one. They know all too well how critical they had to be to get through that major drama that befell them. Friesen caught out, Doug Cloud caught out. You're talking some big names getting put wrong place, wrong time. Henry Morse now up to 5th, Hawkins 6th, Roman Bello to 7th, and Josh Brain to 8th place through all of that. To dissect that, you don't need a surgeon. It is really a tough piece of that's the way the cookie crumbles, and it's what we expect from this level of racing, as Hagner's lost the lead now to Polasek, who takes control, and we'll take another look. So it's Ferran Grau who moves through this section, the 6th. Oh, that is a massive hit there going down the hill. Huge accident to try and navigate around, and Ferran Grau was able to stay out of trouble beyond that, but there's more to deal with as 2nd and 3rd. Look at the group they've gone through. That's Laughter, Powlick, Hamill, Smith, Porter and Gaudry.
Yeah, managed to get on by. Those two are still battling behind as well. Hamill Smith tried to make a move on by, but just holding it by. We'll look at that wreck in a minute, because these cars are still battling, and they're going to be realizing that they're battling for more than just a top 10 now. They could be looking really high up here. Jamie Hamill-Smith, Cam Porter, Forbin Pollock, Ben Laughter, all battling. They avoided that wreck because they were nowhere there, and you've got to feel for some of those drivers. They had a little bit, not enough time to react to that crash. When we look at the replay, you'll see it, but I now see, Jake, half the GTP field in the pits.
It's mental. Matthew Odell, Carlos Fonseca, Diego Alberto Maidana, all in trouble. Cloud, Lundberg, Cal Young, Mickey Friesen, all caught up. And I think it all started here with one wrong move, causing everything to go dramatic, as Henry Morse in the number 10 now figures out he can't quite get the angle yet on Joram Van Hicks, and looks again to try and find a way. Shane Hawkins is happy to sit by and watch with this at the moment and say, you know what, there's even more available if we can go and find that all-important critical passes.
If they can find the critical passes like we're seeing with Seamus Power right now, trying to find his way around Nicholas McCannell, they're going to hit lapped GTP traffic. This feels crazy. 26 minutes to go, lap GTP traffic, but these are cars that took damage trying to get some repairs. Some of them, as you see on the timing tower as it scrolls on by, 3 laps down, some 2 laps down, some 1 lap down. They're going to try and get as much damage as they can because they realize there's time to be made here. And furthermore, if these two keep battling hard, and we're hoping they don't do this, they may have a mistake out there. They may be losing out, and that might be a free position at the end of the race.
Well, they're doing 66-second lap times out there, and it is really about how they hold themselves together. This will feel frantic and fast, and the laps will go by at hyper speed. And that's what we're seeing. Hagner on the back of Polasek with Philip Lake, a very comfortable third place. At the moment, they'll have to wait a little bit more because down the inside of Philip Lake, that'll be Pepe Fuentes through, and Shadi Ahmad, who got a lot of help from the lap traffic over the course of the last lap or so, brings it into play. So this is Eric Mahoney, and this is how it all starts. He gets out wide through turn 8, tries to slow it down, tries to slow it down, tries to slow it down. Bloomberg ends up being the wrong place at the wrong time, and suddenly it comes across the middle of the circuit. There's a small tap that goes through, and everyone just has to scatter.
Well, I know the drivers were joking about giving Mickey Friesen the birthday bash and the birthday bumps. I don't think that's what they were saying. That's unfortunate there for Mickey. Nowhere for him to go, as the other drivers also didn't. And that's just a rookie mistake of, I think that I can make it free wide or I can set myself up for an overtake. And it just wasn't there. And it's one of those things that sometimes in multi-class, you've got to just accept, you've got to back out and lose some time. Wait for the opportunity. Cam Porter's looking for the opportunity. Jamie Hamill-Smith almost left that door open for him. And cool as you like from Cam, just keeping it there. And I've got to feel that I think he's worn the right color today, because it must be pretty sweaty out there today.
Well, it's a case for Cam Porter that he wanted to make that move on Jamie Hamill-Smith, but the speed difference going down through turn 4 where Rian van Vuren was driving through by comparison was massive. Now they've given themselves some space. Now Cam can move to the inside, and with that face of concentration, he gets in the move. Did I just catch a little wry movement there of his left lip there? Oh, sorry, left lip? No, left corner of his mouth, sorry, going up slightly. That would have indicated a little smile to say, good, P11.
I'm going to have to check with him if he's got more than one lip, but I know what you were trying to say. Keeps his eyes up again. Look, looks up. He's having a quick talk. He's just thinking, okay, got by him. Let's look down the road. And I say that because I've watched Cam. I've watched Cam on his broadcast, and some of these guys are live streaming, so it's going to be interesting to see some of those positions. And now he's just resigned to the fact of what he's got to do. He realizes that now he has to be the aggressor in defense, and the attack is the best form of defense sometimes, but he's also got to keep his eyes open, because this is the type of corner that he got caught out with later this week.
Yeah, so that really tells you that if he's really struggling with a certain type of corner, he's got to try and navigate it correctly. Shane Hawkins now trying to eye up a pass here, and knowing that with the traffic going by in the form of Jiri Wikström, he deals with that okay, but once more has to fall into that rank and file. What a beautiful livery, by the way, with those wonderfully purple wheels there for Shane. Shano knows that he has got to go out there and be really on best form to try and keep this going. He is a Kiwi from New Zealand, and Shane is trying to do what he can to keep drivers like Henry Morse and Joran van Hicks, the championship leader, in sight.
Well, the front of the car says stand out everywhere, and what doesn't stand out on a racetrack like purple and white? It's a fantastic color combination. I'm not biased, as he just continues on looking for the opportunities. Don't think he expected to be here in the race after what happened a few minutes ago, but here he is battling for a top 4, and that could be very good. At Kiki Menguel, these drivers are still on the same lap as the leaders in GTO, as Kiki is trying to fight Jonny Berg. They're going to go side by side. Real good racing, but the outside is always going to be tough at Quebec. And I tell you what, Kiki, I think you've done it, mate. What an overtake.
Well, he's definitely here as Kike Menguel. He's called up the delivery service and said, one overtake, please, and managed it. So Kike Menguel then moves on up and picks up Anthony De Veres, and that position is there. Oh, Javi Mosquera in trouble with a car in pure yellow. That's Stefan Leslie there, the French driver, getting caught out in trouble. So 7th and 8th come together.
Well, it's actually a concertina effect from an issue with a GTO.
Oh, Yuri!
And now Jiri Wikström's gone around as well. A small moment there as Van Vuren will come on by. I think that's him just trying to battle Javier Mosquera, losing the rear and losing the grip. But yeah, that moment we saw with Mosquera, when we look at the replay, caused him a GTO just locking up and going a bit too wide coming out of Clayton Corner.
It takes just that to make this so difficult. So really tough to navigate around this circuit. You just need to make sure that you are eyes on a swivel, especially at the most committed corner down the hill off camber that Clayton's corner often produces. You have got to be so alert to that. There is still drivers trying to go through like Fonseca and Forbes Marshall by Hawkins, Morse and Joran van Hicks, but that group is starting to slowly open up with the sheer weight of traffic that continues to butter it up and dice away through. Now behind that, here's your overall race leader, Jacob Reed. He'll get through one, and now looking for another two to go and get by.
Yeah, we've not talked about Jacob Reed, but Jacob Reed's got a 4-second lead at the moment, really driving well. His fastest lap today, just for the stat nerves, it's a 104.927. And if you're thinking, that sounds pretty fast, it's not even the fastest time this week. It doesn't even, it only just hits the top 8 of fastest times this week for the GTPs. And I think a lot of it had to do with the traffic, with the track temperature as well. But he's keeping cool, calm and collected, knock on wood, as he goes through more traffic. He splits up the lead pack. And this is going to be interesting when they come to Moss, because I feel if you split the lead pack up here, that's going to be thankful for the guy in front, not the guy behind, and that belongs to Joni Hagner.
Well, for Polasek, though, who leads the race, he also got that opened up thanks to Carlos Fonseca and co. So there's a double amount of opening up then with that front group, 6 tenths and 7 tenths between them. And Michael Polasek doesn't need an invitation. He'd love to try and break a second and run away, with it being 3.7, 3.6 right now between Jacob Reed and Nicholas Mucanos, for example. So there is still a lot to try and undertake. This is Shadi Ahmad representing Dr. Wow! Wow, what a moment by Shadi. Hold on, does not, tags the wall, front and rear, going through in the Repsol car. Well, has a huge moment trying to keep it out of trouble. Wowee.
And another moment just ahead of him from a lap GTP, Big Battle Henry Morse. What happened there was, remember, these GTPs do not like the pogo, do not like getting their suspension upset there. He cut into turn one, I think, a bit too much, lost the rear a little bit, and that just made that car pogo. And when you start pogoing, you lose that ground effect, and I think that just started it. Did well to keep it out of the wall massively. He controlled the car in the crash to keep control so it didn't go aggressively spinning, and he was able to get that car off the track once again. He's taken a lot of damage for it, but thankfully he's okay, and he hasn't affected drivers like this as Henry Morse, still looking for an opportunity. JB Hamill-Smith still looking for opportunities as Cam Porter has caught up to the back of Ben Laughter.
Yep, so there's more chances then of that group continuing together. Jamie Hamill-Smith will choose to represent Trinidad and Tobago. It's important to note, representing both, not just one or the other. For example, Michael Polasek is out there, and this is what we love about the flag system. Drivers can choose any flag they like. Michael Polasek representing South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands.
Yeah, and I know some people may be representing the Vatican City, and there's Ian Haycox in the picture-in-picture. He's having a battle with Roman Bello, and I think he may get that. He may hit that bump into turn one. He doesn't. They're going to have some good fighting. Lance Simon's right behind them. He'll just come on by. No, he decides against it. Keeps it safe, and I think after the incident that happened earlier in the race, keeping it safe behind two GTOs going side by side, I think that's a pretty wise decision.
And Ian Haycox drives with a lot of help needed from his SimRig setup because of the fact that he lost his leg in a motorcycle accident a few years ago. He was quick enough when he had the use of all 4 limbs to work with, but now he's lost one. He's still quick, but the issue he finds is fatigue is his biggest trouble out there, Craig, because he can go 40 minutes, but the moment you start getting it over an hour, he just does not have the strength to continue on.
No, and you've got to remember, this is already a tough car on its own with H-pattern shifting, clutching. You can get an auto clutch, of course, but some drivers prefer not to because it is actually a little bit slower. So he is able to do this, but I just can't imagine the strength is required because that's one leg doing basically everything, and then you're having hand movement. You've got, I believe it's his brake on the one hand. It's either it's brake or it's throttle on a hand control. And then you've also got to do your shifting. You got to do your shifting while you're also modulating that pedal while also steering at the same time. It really adds to the challenge. And you've just got to applaud that, like we always say, it doesn't matter if you've got any disabilities. You race for fun. You race to win. And that's exactly what he did. He does not want that to take away from him.
No, it really doesn't. And for Ian Haycox, this is a really good test of strength and driving ability needed, with Romain Bello able to hold the station at the moment and not needing to worry too much about what is going on out there. It's getting very busy around with Mosquera and co, because you've got the likes then of Rian van Vuren just behind. They're all bringing themselves up together, and in the middle of all of it, well, let's just add to the mix here. You've got Seamus Power back in close again with Nicholas Mucanos, trying to get through a huge slew of cars in front. Look at this. Brian Carter, Cal Young, Andres Felipe Diaz, Forbes Marshall. Most of it is same category.
Yeah, and this is where it gets a little bit chaotic, because I'm looking at the track map and there isn't really a corner or a straight that's clear at the moment. Maybe just now at Clayton it's clear. It's not clear anymore. It just goes to show what we were saying earlier, that this is now just a lot of traffic, and your own class as a lap car usually can be helpful. But when you get to a situation like they've just done, that's a lap GTP overtaking a GTO. They're still battling for position. These two are battling. It's so tough. And you can see Felipe Diaz does decide, nope, I need to let you by. It's only fair.
Yeah, and then on the exit, because they got Tim Gaudry, they have to dive to the inside. Seamus Power a little less caught up there by that moment, but through Clayton Corner, there is the difference of a bit of dirty air on the back of the ZX-T. T stands for turbo, and it doesn't look good here for Javi Mosquera, who has gone sideways and off the road at Clayton's Corner, and now has damaged front and rear.
Yeah, and do you know who got caught in that? Mickey Friesen. He tried to avoid Javier Mosquera on the brakes. Unfortunately, the brakes can only hold you so much, and we're going to see it right now. Just clipping the grass. Some top drivers have done this before. He is trying to slide that, but yeah, nowhere for Mickey to go. And for the second time today, the birthday boy, well, there's nowhere for him to go, and he gets caught out.
Speaking of drivers caught out, a spin for Cam Porter doesn't help, but Joram van Hicks, your championship leader, is in a world of pressure at the moment. Look at this on the exit, forcing two tyres into the grass. Rian van Vuren had to really motor to find a way through. Jiri Wikström now brings himself into the middle, and that gives respite for Joram, who's there on the outside, can take a natural line into Quebec Corner, turn number 3, because that's the corner closest to Quebec out there on track. But for the moment, Shane Hawkins, a passenger, and Henry Morse, I think, will be very frustrated at the fact that he cannot have it as easy as he did in the 49s earlier today.
No, but as they came to Quebec Corner, it felt like Van Hicks was in the wrong lane. He wanted to go into the M5. He was still going to the M49 for some reason. He was compromising what lane he was going because of what happened with the cars coming on by. And this is a good chance for Morse now to try and use Jacob Reed for a bit of slipstream before Van Hicks does it. It doesn't work for him, but here comes Shane Hawkins. You can tell the purple people eater is right behind. He tried to go around the outside, the S's. This is very risky because slipstream's still there for Morse, and he's going to have to back out with 12 to go.
Yeah, he's trying what he can, and it's just not paying off. Shane Hawkins is now trying to really turn the screw and say, with 12:20, I have a shot of getting into the top 5, and he would absolutely love to at this stage. Another car will go flying on by. Oh, they almost miscommunicate there. That was Mucanos, who's second, and off the road goes Seamus Power. Can he gather it back? Yes, but look at the time loss.
But he's alive. And key thing, he didn't take anybody out. He's still fighting. He doesn't have to worry about anyone behind him because the car GTP behind him is a lap GTP. It's Forbes Marshall. So he doesn't have to worry there. But he's realized he's lost a lot of time. He's lost 3 seconds to Mucanos, and Mucanos has a basically clean run up the Andretti straightaway until he comes to the braking for the S's. That's not what Power wants to see right now.
No, and for Seamus Power, he knows he needs a lot of help to get back to Mucanos, and it's a full 6 seconds over to the race lead. So this is Ben Laughter's issue out there. Pepe going absolutely aggressive down the inside. Ben Laughter is a passenger. Oh, and was that Jamie Hamill-Smith jumping in on that as well at the 11th hour of the replay there? Nasty situation to get yourself put in. Ben Laughter would be doing anything but.
Yeah, Jamie apologized for that. I think Jamie was trying to get out the way, but could not find anywhere to go, and that's unfortunate for him. Yeah, he was slowing down, but he locked up the brakes, and I think that's what caused the issue there. He did not mean to go in, and that's going to feel sorry. You think the wreck's over? Unfortunately, the wreck still happens, even when you're standing still. We've all been there. We've all been here like Van Hicks. We've all been there like Henry Morse. And again, lines are compromised for these drivers. Morse is going to have to take a different line over what Van Hicks is. And Pepe Fuentes, by the way, coming into the pits from P6. But I believe that might be a mechanical flag.
And you can tell sometimes here with us on the Global SimRacing Channel that there are dramas beholden everywhere. Fuentes in. I don't think it's a mechanical flag, but it is damage, and it's going to be a long pit stop to behold out there in the later stages of this race. So Pepe Fuentes won't necessarily score what's needed. Henry Morse now trying to line this up. Will move to the outside on Joram Van Hicks, and he's a lot earlier onto the brakes. Joram understeers and tries to pick his pocket, Artful Dodger style. Not going to have that. Please, sir, can I have your pass? The answer's no.
No, unfortunately, you need to have your ID or a credit card information to prove that you can come on by Johan Van Hicks, because he is one tough cookie to really crack today. And he has tried, and it's not worked. It's one of those things that he tried to do the over-under. The over-under does not exist for turn 8. It's almost flat for some of these cars, not for the GTOs. They've got to wait for that downforce to kick in. So he has to wait just a moment, and I think that caught him out. But that would have looked good if you were in the cockpit of Shane Hawkins, because they started fighting, and these two are starting to fight.
How on earth has Seamus Power clawed back 3.5 seconds, going to the outside in such a short space of time? Oh, Seamus! Seamus, what a move!
Brilliant move from Power onto Mechanos. He loves that. Now he's got to work it. Now he's got to use the traffic to his advantage. He has to go aggressive. And he really loves this sort of track, because this suits him. This suits him with the downforce, with the speed, the flowing corners. He doesn't say he likes it, but I feel like it's a Lewis Hamilton bottom my tires are gone moment. He's really just trying to play his hand poker style. He won't catch up to Jacob Reed, but what a P2 this would be. You think he's the number 14 car out of 24 GTPs. He might be one of the highest iRacing but in that class, but it doesn't feel like it right now.
Well, Seamus Power is a driver who goes hot and cold in this series. Sometimes he is completely absent in races and you can't quite find him. This is Matthew Oddle. Oh, this is where your championship leader, Jacob Rees, turned someone.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was on purpose. I think that might have been a slow car. I'm looking at Jacob Reed. Don't see any significant damage. Looks like he's driving all fine. They're still battling, these two, as they go on by. Almost going to split the middle. And Seamus Power finds a way through. Tim Gordon gets on the microphone to apologize, but where was he meant to go?
Tim Gaudry just had the effective situation of having a Cessna airplane that he was driving and saw two fighter jets try and get by.
I don't even know how he did it. And this is Seamus Power, who 3 laps ago was on the grass and lost 3 seconds to Mechanos, and now he's ahead, and now he's pushing on. This is the fantastic driver. I want to give a shout out while we're watching this. Lars Olsen, quiet race. He's in P4. Van Buren's been up 10 spots into P7. Some fantastic driving and a battle of attrition for some of these cars. Crazy to think just 6 drivers, Jake, are on the lead lap. 3 minutes.
And you look at them here, the quiet one's been Laust Olsen in 4th position, who has been so circumspect by not doing anything. Shadi Amada's been limping damage around in 5th. Stefan Leslie's had a moment, and now Mucanos will go around the outside again. Will hold the inside for turn 9. There's more GTOs in front. Cam Porter's one of them. Round goes Seamus, and now he'll have to try and hold himself steady. That was just the tiniest tap going in through turn 9, and off the curb went Mucanos, and the contact was made. The gift that is given back by Mucanos did not want to take the position that way, and will now have to do it again.
It's hard racing. It was like we saw Lesniak and Farron Grau earlier in this race. They both apologized. They both knew there was nothing malicious, and that was the same there. McCannos tried to hold on, and I think Power almost managed to get ahead there. He was so close to get ahead, but he's got that back. That's one of those moments, the community so tight-knit. They do not want to win a race like that. They want to win it like this. He's done it again by accident.
They both overcooked it, and this time Seamus Power has nothing he can do. Buchanos is going to start walking away, but Power was so deep into the corner, he was going to lose it anyway. It's the fact that Buchanos was caught brake watching that he ran straight into the back of him.
Yeah, and that's so unfortunate for Power. Fantastic racing for him as well. We've still got this battle going on between Van Hicks, Morse, and Hawkins is still trying to catch there, but I'm not sure how much he can do. I'm not sure how much he can watch this right now. The man's only 2.3K, and he's battling with a man who is a great driver in historic cars, and a man who is meant to be leading and should be the man who should be king.
Well, for Shane Hawkins, it's a proof that iRacing isn't everything, and if you got pace, it's permanent, and he's showing that with full aplomb at this moment. Morse, who has been pretty much tapping out, let me pass in Morse code, hasn't seen the memo. There has Joram Van Hicks. He's been very good at holding himself steady in racing action right now. You've got coming through on the left-hand side, Lance Simon, and they pull 3 wide on the straight here. Henry Morse has got to be aggressive here, and he'll be helped with Rian van Vuren trying to find a way by them as they push in through the corner. Van Vuren tries to push it to the extremities of going through. Move just about made by Rian, but Van Hicks still holds his place. But look at the crossover Henry Morse is trying to get. Still can't get the drive with understeer.
No, he couldn't get that drive going because of what happened there with Van Vuren. Kind of a similar moment with what happened earlier in the race with the big one. That's what happens if you try to take it 3 wide. Now, this is the moment with Seamus. He'll come on down into turn 4. He'll brake for turn 5. We just see him. He's already gone 2 wide. He's off on the marbles. And yeah, you're right. That's definitely McCannos. He's basically watching because he's trying to catch out Seamus. And all he's done is he's caught himself out there, and that's unfortunate.
It's so easy to do. It is one of those mistakes where if you want to try and challenge the quickest, you copy the quickest, and when they make a mistake, you make a mistake. It is as simple as that. There's a car off in front of this group there of Paul Clavier, who gets back onto circuit, so that's another little worry to deal with. And lest we not forget that it's half a second for the race lead in GTO through all of this between Polasek and Hagner.
Yeah, they've been very quiet, and you know, if you're Johnny Hagner, you will be. Michael Polasek's a driver that we've not seen a lot of until this season. He did the Road America 500, I believe, and then he decided, well, if I've got some free time, I might as well get my Audi out again and do some racing. And who he's trying to hold back up? He's trying to hold off Johnny Hagner, and this is what Morse is trying to do. He's trying to get by Johan Van Hick. He can't find it. A little bit of an oversteer moment there. Going onto the grass a little bit, trying to get by. Pepe Fuertes will come by. You've got to feel that if he is Inspector Morse, I think Van Hicks might be his Detective Sergeant Lewis.
Well, Torben Paulik in a scrap as well now, because this is against Cam Porter. This is for a top 10 in class, and Cam, who's had a spin already in this race, looks to really attack through the final corner. Now this will open up turn 1 on circuit to get this move done, and still can't find it. That open, inviting corner. Great drive off the exit. Paulik understeering about with a very unique style of this Audi GTO, but through turn 2 at Clayton's, wrong side of the road, Cam, not going to get the pass.
And there's the smirk. He realized, yeah, I had that for a moment, but I overcooked it. And then while he was still having the smirk and just thinking I could have done better there, he continues to fight and almost went around the outside of Torben Paulik into Quebec. It'll come down into turn 4 right now, and then hard onto the brake into Moss. Again, he doesn't do the brake watching. He's keeping himself collected here. This is what he wants, but with 2 minutes to go, they're definitely going to get 3 more laps out there, I feel. Maybe even 2 laps, actually. This is going to be a time now that he has to stop playing chess. He needs to start playing checkers.
Yep, it's time to capture moves, and that's a little dig to the inside from Shane Hawkins, and not quite managing it there. The traffic going by of Forbes Marshall certainly helping things out there for Shano, but cannot get enough to go and make that move done. This is a tough scenario to be put into, knowing that you've got to find a way through on two drivers who just simply haven't been able to budge out there. Polasek as well, still staving off that gap here to Jonny Hagner, and all the while it is going to be 2 laps to go because Jacob Reed has just taken the penultimate lap of this race, up over the top of the crest at Stirling Moss corner, and now make a pure drive back down the hill again along the Andretti straight, and Joran van Hicks, your championship leader, is still doing just enough to hold off Henry Morse.
But how much is enough? He's going to have to go around the outside. It's Henry Morse. He's going to try it. Late on the brakes for Henry Morse. I think he's overcooked it, and he has. And he's going to allow Shane Hawkins, but he closes the door. And that was it, Judd. But everybody knows you can't outbrake and late brake in a GTO. You have to go together and rely on the space. And he just thought he could do it. In a GTP, I would expect to see that move. It was so tough, and the key thing was he almost lost that P5 to Shane Hawkins, and that would have been just great for the Kiwi.
And while all that is happening, Jonny Hagner's not getting the luck of the draw with the traffic as close as you like there. The Tiger sits and waits then on the back of Joran van Hicks. Henry Morse trying at Quebec to get that pass. Won't quite get there. Jacob Reed starts his final lap. Jonny Hagner has nothing for Michael Polasek at the moment, but this is where the focus is with the championship leader, battling hard with the likes of Henry Morse and Shane Hawkins. Only Philip Lake will take some sizable points away from him, but there is Jacob Reed, who is not a million miles away from finding security once again. When he's been out here and racing, he has been simply non-stop, must watch in terms of the way he drives. He's had a lot of troubles over the course of this season, not here, but over in the iRacing Grand Prix World Tour, where he finds himself 50 points back now of Eduardo Radiz. But this will give him a little bit of a something to smile about on days where he's not quite at his best open wheel now, because he's just 3 corners away and about to lap all bar 4 out there. It could be all bar 3, it will be all bar 3. That's Shadi Ahmad. He puts a lap down. Jacob Reed is all conquering again, dominant at Mosport, and wins so very easily. Mucanos will be second, it will be Seamus Power in third, and now the focus will turn to GTOs, where Michael Polasek is just half a lap away, and there's still a lot to get through with the likes of those like Joran van Hicks and Henry Morse.
Yeah, Hagner is trying to find whatever he can, but he cannot get the pull on to the Andretti straight away. And that might be it. Morse with a little bit of a touch there. And I believe that just happened, trying to make the move. No, with the GTP trying to make the move. And that's not what you want to see. And that's taking him out of this consideration. Hawkins is going to be battling for this. Not entirely sure what was going on there from the GTP. And he continues on. These two are going to go side by side. Polasek's going to get the victory. And a fantastic victory for Michael Polasek. Great driving to hold off the veteran known as Jonny Hagner. He will hold it on. Philip Lake will come home in P3, but you can see, and even if the GTP keeps on flashing, they need to have this battle. Van Hicks, thankfully, with the traffic, will get that P4. Morse holds on to that P5.
How Henry Morse is still with a P5 finish at the end of today, I have no idea. Logan Fitz was super duper aggressive there on the final lap and needed to have a whole amount of, I would say, understanding to work out that you can flash your lights. They're battling on the last lap for a position here, and you've just got to let them go. Michael Polasek taking a category, and will have a huge smile at managing to make that work. Jonny's got the drift out once again. It's what he does after every race, but second is a good result. But for him, he'll be looking at victory, and Philip Lake there, your final spot on the podium. It's points against the likes of Joran van Hicks. It's only 2 points, though, so he'd like to find a bit more. Confirmation of result, then, from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, as we talk about Canadian Tire Motorsports Park and the dominance of Jacob Reed, who wins this one by 21 seconds there or thereabouts. as he crosses the line. Nicholas Mucanos, a bridesmaid once again against Jacob Reed. Nothing you can do about it. Seamus Power, what a great scrap him and Mucanos had. It's third only, with Laust Olsen, the last finisher, on the leading lap in fourth. Shadi Ahmad will continue to take consistent points. Fifth place here today, with Stefan Leslie in sixth and Rian van Vuren in seventh place. Yuri Vikstrom will be in eighth, with Brian Carter, and Pepe Fuentes, 2 laps down, was on for a fourth place finish here today. 2 laps down as well, you had Lance Simon and Nelson Granjov in troubles, with Javier Mosquera and Henk-Jan Ober 2 laps down or 4 laps down for Henk-Jan Ober. But then you hit the retirees or drivers way down the order. Andres Felipe Diaz, Forbes Marshall, Matthew Odell, Carlos Fonseca, Logan Fitz, who ingratiated himself at the start of the race, ingratiated himself at the end of the race in 19th, with Diego Alberto Maidana rounding out your top 20. And the other drivers there, Ferran Grau, Eric Mahoney, which completely set the tone of the race in GTO, Christophe Lenajak, and then Brandon White on the opening lap of the race. Craig King with GTO.
Yeah, in the GTO, 6 cars finish on the same lap, and it's Michael Polasek who will take the victory away from Johnny Hagner in a fantastic drive after the start. Philip Lake will get that P3, and Jon Van Hick will take 4th. And then it's Henry Morse in 5th, with Shane Hawkin just missing out in 6th. Then Josh Brain will be the lap down as he didn't see that white flag. He'll be in 7th, with Ian Haycott's in 8th. Roman Bella will take 9th, and Fulton Pollock goes up 5 into 10th. For the second page, Matej Lorinsky went up 7th to 11th, and 8th for Tim Gaudry there. He will come home in 12th. Henry Iamaki will take 13th, with Cam Porter spinning a couple times, unfortunately, to 14th. Anthony Taveras will be up 8th to 15th. Yoni Berg will take 16th. Then Peter Nilsson 17th, with Kiki Mengel up 8 into 18th. Adria Huguet will take 19th, from Paul Clavier, the first of the drivers with issues early at the start of the race, will be 20th. Then we come to the drivers with the issues, all the retirees. Ben Laughter in 21st. Jamie Hamill-Smith will be 22nd. Cao Yun 23rd. Mickey Friesen is a birthday to forget for him, because he also loses his 5K I rating from this. He'll finish 24th. Noel Lundberg will be 25th, and Doug Cloud, unfortunately, will be in 26th.
That rounds out then the field of drivers. We will take this chance to talk to some of our drivers, and your winner in GTO, Michael Polasek, then is along with us here at this moment. Michael, that was a case, especially in the mid to late stages, where you just had to try and keep the legs on a driver of the talent of Joni Hagner. It was a case of trying to keep yourself in a position to keep him at an arm's length, and you did so with great aplomb.
Definitely. This track is just all about track position. Unfortunately, after the track polish update in iRacing, the outside line is just almost impossible to work with. So if you qualify on pole, you have a really good shot at winning the race. All you have to do is just play defense for 40 minutes. Fortunately, I don't know how I was able to do it. I was able to get around the outside of Noel at the very start of the race, and then around the outside of turns, 6 and 7 after the back straight, and get around Joni Hagner. And from that point on, it was just a matter of staying calm, staying composed, and just keeping a big enough gap to the point where he couldn't attack.
Yeah, it certainly did look like that you had a great opportunity to try and stamp down a little bit of fun here. I know that you're not a regular when it comes to running this, but what makes you enjoy that Audi 90 GTO out there, and the reason why you chose to drive this week?
I love these cars, especially the Audi GTO. It drives very similar to the TCR cars on iRacing, which are by far my favorite cars on iRacing. And the four-wheel drive you get, you can just smash the throttle and the car just goes where you want it to. Around here, it's a bit of a brick, so it's multi-class situations can get very sketchy. Me and Jacob had a near miss when I didn't realize he was there, and I think you had to take to the grass there a little bit. Other than that, these cars are very raceable. The draft is very strong, visibility is great, and you can turn them so well on the brakes and on the throttle. It's probably my second favorite car class on the service.
So the easy question for me now is, will we see you again this season?
If I get the time, definitely. I'm pretty much running these whenever I got the time, and I absolutely love driving these cars. So it's a great community, great car. If you haven't driven the Audi 90 GTO yet, to everybody watching, definitely do so. It is an incredible experience.
So on behalf of everybody here, we hope that you find the time, basically. Michael Polasek there joining us and picking up a brilliant race win in GTO. It was an eventful day for Seamus Power. He's caught up with Craig King.
Yeah, Seamus Power with me, and Seamus, that looked to be some really fun and a lot of respectful driving there between you and Mechanos. Just unfortunate, it looked like the bump at Moss caught you out there.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't really the bump at Moss. It was the kind of the half spin that we kind of got ourselves into the lap before. And again, props to Nick for slowing down because, yeah, well, I think it was a bit more net code, but yeah, he half spun me. And my tires were just toast after that for that lap. So yeah, I just misunderestimated the corner and drove in too hard, locked up. And yeah, Nick had nowhere to go. So I completely don't blame him for that. But it was super fun up to that point.
Oh, it was super fun. We were looking at some of the highlights, and of course, you were going around the outside of some of the cars. You went around the outside of Mechanos. You even had to almost do a Hakkinen moment around a GTO at one point. The traffic here, it feels like you're really comfortable with the traffic around here. Is it just due to the fact that this is more of a track you like, or is it just due to the fact that it's a lot of downforce and a lot of flat corners here?
I think it's a bit of both, but personally, I'd like to think it's because of the former. I've said here and also on the Discord for IMSA Vintage that this is probably my favorite track and car combination on the service. It's just so fun. The traffic, even if it can be very frustrating at times, I don't know. It has a flow to it that I can really understand. I think trying to go for obviously a win today, but I think that would have been the third one in a row of the broadcast race, and yeah, a little bit of disappointment there. But I'm not going to say no to a podium, especially after that race.
No, can't knock a podium, especially with what happened in the field. And I know this is your third race of the season on the broadcast. This should, in theory, get you up into that top 10. Are you looking to do more races this season? Because next week, it is Magny Core. It's a bit of a wild card out there. I'm not sure if you've got any experience with that track.
I think I've driven it a couple times, but no, not particularly. I'm not too worried about the championship this season. I've, as you said, it's only my third race, I think, in the season. Couple of weekends have kind of gone away for me for other events, the special events, and other life things. So no, I think just taking it relatively easy for the rest of the season. I'll drop in when I can and try and place when I can. But otherwise, yeah, not too concerned about points this time around.
Well, points do mean prizes, but at the end of the day, if you've got a smile on your face, that's all that matters. Seamus, before you let you go, if there's any shout-outs you'd like to give.
One big one to Nick, of course. It was fantastic racing, and he's a fantastic driver, and it was really, really kind of him to slow down after, honestly, what was a mostly netcode incident. And then, yeah, great community as well as always. It's been a great race, and yeah, I hope we can come back here maybe a bit sooner next time.
We hope we do, Can. We hope to see you soon. And Seamus Power there, Jake, with another gentleman driving with Nicholas Mechanos. Some really good driving. And I do believe we might have another gentleman coming on later as we say goodbye to Seamus. Jake, I think you might be around a one-cam Porter.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way, and I do have him here along with me now. So, Cam, a day which for the Cammy's Garage number 24 was up, down, all around, basically. It seems like you had 4 races in a day, so to speak.
Yeah, that was, first of all, that was a blast. I had a fantastic race. Jamie, Thorben, and Ben Laughter. That was really fun. My most enjoyable race in a long time until the second last lap, unfortunately. Thorben and I unfortunately came together there. I felt like I was on the inside, and he turned in, and that sent us both around, unfortunately. So that was really fun. So shout out to those guys for having a great race today. And yeah, sorry, I got nothing else.
Well, it was a day in which you had a lot of pace and ability. We saw you making some good moves. You did have a couple spins out there too. But as far as seasons go and looking to try and work well with the classics, your eyes will certainly be making a little bit of a pivot, I would have thought, over to the second half of the season. So as far as that second half of the season goes, how are you looking to try and attack those races, especially when it comes up to what's coming up next in 7 days' time at the Circuit de Nevers-Magny-Cours?
Well, going by the rest of the races that I've had this week, I feel like I'm kind of in a slump, so I need to focus on just staying safe and just race my own race, hit my marks, and keep the car pointed straight. I've been, kind of half taking myself out of races this week. I half spun and exiting Moss when I was fighting with Jamie, and then of course had that incident with Thorben. So yeah, just focus on being safe and consistent.
Well, safety and consistency is a key priority. Cam Porter there joining us and finding a result in and around 28th overall is the category that is found, but ultimately as a finish, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, unfortunately, at the end of running and action. That will just about do it for us here on the Global Sim Racing Channel for today, but there is still more great racing to come. As we mentioned, in 7 days' time, we'll be back once again with the IMSA Vintage Series, and the Circuit de Nevers-Magny-Cours becomes the next battleground to be had, a track that folds in on itself time and time again. Great for the brilliant overtaking action that we do love with IMSA Vintage Racing. But if you want to catch what's going on over the course of the week, you can catch out here as part of a Genesis Extreme production, the likes of the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series, which will be heading to Brands Hatch for racing action. The Porsche Owners Club will be tackling the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It's Alton Park without chicanes for Grand Prix Legends in August. And then, of course, IMSA Vintage as well will be back on your screens 1 week from today. But from the entire team that has brought this show over to you, from Craig King, who's been alongside me, from Christian Deploy, Director's Chair, assisted by Daniel Costello, and with Dougie Beard as well, my name is Jake Sperry. Sometimes the rich do indeed keep on getting richer as far as championships are concerned. Is there any way that Jacob Reed can be stopped in terms of the way he's going about? That's 5 wins out of 6 to start this season, and nobody looks like they can put a consistent run of form together to make that work for them. Maybe Nicholas Mukanos, but he is just 1 step short. When it comes to GTO, it was an opportunity today for drivers to make progress on Joram van Hicks. Only Philip Lake was able to do so, but now Lowell Loomberg will find that luck has been lacking. Mickey Friesen finds that his birthday brings bad luck, not good, and we will see who now looks to stamp the second half of their season down when we see you in 7 days at the Circuit de Nevers-Magny-Cours.
This is iRacing.